Now a good time?
Yes, yes, it's a good time to speak. We can go ahead and get started.
Perfect, perfect. So your information was passed to me through our recruitment team for a developer platform role that we have open right now. And I'm actually the hiring manager for that role and kind of wanted to spend 30 minutes to figure out, kind of what you're looking for, what you've been working on, and answer any questions you might have and take it from there. So with that, I'll probably turn it over to you to give me a little bit of your background and ask any questions.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, I've been working from the last 4 years as a DevOps cloud engineer. So basically, coming to my roles and responsibilities on a daily basis with the BTIS, I was responsible for managing the test builds and promoting and deploying the software builds and releases through dev and test environments, and then also integrating the SCM into Jenkins to automate the code and checkout process, and designing the ARM templates to use the custom sized VPC and the subnet to ensure successful deployment. I was also working in all the areas of Jenkins to set up the continuous integration branches and build automation, and maintaining the various kinds of Docker containers and slash release times by 20% by boosting the customer satisfaction by 25%. And we also maintained the uptime of 99.9%. Apart from that, also writing various kinds of shell script in Python and also managing the team for the technical update and the status report for the offering of the recommendations inside that, and trying to also experience on the agile team environment, and providing the off-hour support for the schedule, wherein we were doing the on-call management of the rotation of the team inside that, and also using various Azure command line interface tools to be able to do the integration with the Azure cloud, I would like to say. And I was also responsible for handling the Linux-based systems inside that by avoiding the bottlenecks of the systems and using the configuration management of the changes and the best practices for the development environment, so that we can do the enterprise configuration management and also use the rotating schedule so that the people can maintain the support from the offshore and the onshore teams. And then apart from that, I was also responsible for working with the implementation of the continuous integration and deployment pipelines using Jenkins. I have also got good experience in the integration of the Artifactory, which is the JFrog Artifactory, and the Nexus server using the pom.xml file, using the settings.xml inside that. And I have also deployed the proprietary applications in the Microsoft Azure using the Azure repos and the Ansible and Terraforms. And I've also got good experience in the working of the Jenkins with the continuous integration and deployment pipeline branches and build automation levels inside that. And I've also been doing the some of the merge conflict resolution by checking out the code and then analyzing the code files and configuring those triggers inside that, and writing custom shell script and Python scripts for the application source code deployment, and releasing them to the development and testing environments for the production environment services, and deploying those on the third party with the Azure ARM templates to create the custom sized VPC to ensure the successful deployment of the web applications inside that for the database templates, and then use the Terraform templates to automate the deployment of the infrastructure in the Azure, and configuring the load balancers on the Nginx to improve the performance of the servers, and also working on the Docker containers, and then dockerizing those applications with the application environment, and using multipath routing inside the RAID array using the hardware and software RAID. And we were also using some of the container snapshots to be able to promote those images on top of that. I was also responsible for handling some of the Docker volumes and integrating those volumes with the custom services on the runtime services and deployment, and also making sure that we have these components which will save the administration time by 30%. I was doing all these things. So this is my high level of the roles and responsibilities which I was working on.
Cool, cool, cool. That's a lot. Kind of talk to me about your, what's your favorite thing? Like out of all the DevOps CI/CD platform technologies, like what's your favorite thing?
I think my favorite thing is the Jenkins and the Kubernetes and the continuous integration and deployment pipelines on top of that for doing the runtime integration of the third-party environment. So basically, we will be using all these for doing the orchestration and deployments and trying to handle the services of the development team. So they will be giving us the requirements, and then we start working on those requirements and also offering them the solutions for some of the problems they are facing on a daily basis. So I would say that Continuous integration and deployment is one of those things which I really enjoy the working on, and then inside that trying to handle the various kinds of queries and the Kubernetes pipelines and manifest files for the application source code, which is actually handled on top of that, and then understanding how these Kubernetes containers could be then orchestrated in the proper way without having the downtime. So we were using the Kubernetes command line interface to be able to do that and promote the application services from the source environment and put them on the target services. Apart from that, also trying to handle some of these release management strategies, trying to use the blue-green deployment and doing those kinds of promotions of the artifacts from one environment to the other, and then trying to release them on the service integration environments without the downtime of a single second is one of the very easy ways to make the application highly available and scalable on those environments, and putting them on the runtime services and orchestration service deployment so that we can write custom Python scripts for the Ruby and the shell scripting inside that, so that we can use the Python Boto library to be able to do the blue-green integration of those environments. So yeah, like the blue-green deployments and those kinds of things really helped us a lot in getting these things out to the production service so that developers don't have to manually do any of those long and the tedious processes for the application source code integration.
Gotcha. Awesome. So talk to me about a time when you implemented a solution or technology that directly impacted the quality of life of a development team, and kind of how you worked with a development team to make their lives better.
Well, yes, I did the implementation of the continuous integration and deployment pipeline, wherein I was responsible for handling the release pipeline strategy and how we could also do some of the orchestrated promotion from one environment to the other without the interference of the development team. So definitely that is one thing. And apart from that, also how we could do the specific source code management and integration, and how we could track the bug fixes by using the Sonar Cube, and you also find the code smells inside that, which could be taken from there. And I was also responsible for handling some of the code-based integrations from the source environments to the third party, and then integrate the third parties with the application environment so that we don't have to do those kinds of basic level services in those environments. So, that was also one of the things which was being done by me. I was also responsible for handling the queries of the development team and understanding how we could improve on the lifecycle management of those specific services, and then we also had to get some of the approvals from the development team members, and then get those stakeholders to be able to agree on a specific point. And then I would also like to say that getting the approvals of the quality analysis team so that we can actually handle all those things in the proper way and without a single second downtime is also one of the things which would really help us to do that. So yeah, getting those applications released and deployed, and getting these application artifacts on the target machine so that the runtime can be handled in the proper way. And yeah, I would say that getting those service level orchestration and approvals, and getting the pipeline stages to be managed in the proper way so that those stages can be then kind of triggered in the service level environments, and we can also send out email notifications to the various stakeholders just in case there is a kind of a problem with the application, and then the developers can also get into the bridge call, and we can get the solutions out as soon as we can so that we don't have to look at various kinds of services inside that. So yeah, I think that was pretty much one of the experiences when we kind of made the developer life pretty easy in this case, I would like to say.
Sure. So thinking about the projects like that, kind of walk me through some of the challenges you faced when implementing these solutions, and kind of how you work through them.
So basically, coming to the challenges of the working of the implementation of the solutions, I would say that it was really a challenge in terms of how the application could be actually taken from the source environments and then put on the target machines. So challenges included but not limited to, uh, sometimes we are having the problems in the application source code deployment, and sometimes the application is not getting deployed in the proper way with the application service. So we are having some of the rollback to be triggered. So rollback has a previous version of the schema changes which have to be taken from there. So yeah, we had the schema-less databases and schema-based databases. So both of them had their own set of challenges, which we had to kind of figure out and trigger the best possible way in that case. So I would say that it was pretty much a challenge in terms of getting the development team to agree on a specific methodology, and then once they have agreed, then try to get them to be able to handle those requirements from those environments. And then finally, once we have all those approvals, in this case we could get those people to be able to manage the artifacts and then run the local Docker containers using the Docker Compose, so that they can initially tell us that, okay, this is the problem we are facing and we really need your support here. And then we will assign some DevOps team member, then he'll start working on the things from that perspective, so that we can then go and do the specific rollout cycle in this case, I would say.
Gotcha. So when they actually do disagree, though, like how do you work through getting them to agreement?
Well, we will try to escalate the manager, and then we'll also tell that, okay, this is the way we have actually found out, and we have to kind of get it done on the same, because that's the best practice from the architect perspective. So that is also one of the things which really helps us a lot in pushing the architecture policies of the architects who are working on that specific team. So that really helps a lot, in some of the cases. And apart from that, mostly it has really helped us to get the service level integrations in the application environments and define those on the target integrations and then get the approvals. So yes, talking to various stakeholders, talking to the scrum master and the product owners, and understanding how the products have been created and defined. So that is one thing. And apart from that, also how we could get these specific stakeholder management services on the target machines, so that the developers can have a good understanding of why we are doing a specific set of activities in this case. So it depends on like the case to
Gotcha.
case basis.
For sure. And kind of what are the sizes of the teams you've been working with as of late?
The size of the teams, like I would say it's more than 8 people on the DevOps team, and then we have like 10 developers, and we have I think 14 QA distributed across multiple geographies. So yeah, we have like people who are distributed, and we have people who will be working with the various stakeholder environments, and then yeah, I would say that should not be a problem at all.
Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about mentoring, like a time that you led somebody to a solution or mentored either a teammate or maybe even somebody on a different team.
Definitely, I was mentoring the various people and trying to get the trainings, and I was giving the weekly trainings and trying to understand from the stakeholders, and what we could do by handling the giving them the knowledge transfer on some specific services. So yeah, that's one thing. And apart from that, also getting those specific services out on the third party environment, wherein we could get these target integration environments on the runtime. So yes, this was one thing. And apart from that, I was also trying to mentor some of the other people in the team who were working with me. So like getting their approvals of the managers and then trying to give them the access and the knowledge transfer of those environments also was one of those things which really would have mattered for us. So yeah, I was really working with the teams and trying to handle all these areas of the aspects of the applications.
Gotcha. Cool. And then as far as your tech stack, it sounds like you have a lot of Azure experience. Talk to me a little bit about your Kubernetes experience. What have you built on Kubernetes?
On the Kubernetes, I was actually responsible for handling the integration of the Kubernetes pipeline with the Jenkins. So we were using the Kubernetes command line interface to be able to do that, and trying to put it on the runtime services with the application source code and handling it on the runtime environments. I was also responsible for taking Kubernetes deployments and getting those approvals from there, and then trying to handle those source integration environments with the Kubernetes replica set and the services which were created on top of that environment. So this was really helping us to make the environment totally secure and not get any of the problems on top of that. So yeah, this was one of those environments where I was trying to deploy those services and make sure that the manifest files have the liveliness check and the readiness check so that we can use the cluster IP and the node port to be able to load balance and route the traffic inside that. So this really helped us to make the service uptime guaranteed for the teams. And then the team members were really happy about the fact that we could control the way the specific services are created on the application runtime. So yeah, it was like it's something which we had done for specific application services and microservices as well, both. So these were running on cloud infrastructure using the Lambda functions. So that Kubernetes, and we have also worked on the AKS installation, which is the Azure Kubernetes service installation, where I was actually working on and trying to deploy it on top of that and run it on the cloud level services, so that we don't have to worry about those rollbacks at a schema level, or maybe put it back on the runtime environment. So yeah.
Gotcha. So y'all are running Kubernetes across Azure, AKS, and EKS on AWS, or just in one cloud?
So basically, we're running on the multi-cloud because we had the hybrid infrastructure in our environment. So basically, the hybrid infrastructure was helping us to do the real-time integration and deployment. So we were having multi-cloud deployment so that we could make sure that we are not getting like a downtime in the environment, and then someone is coming to us and asking us for the specific problem to be resolved in this case. So I think, yeah, that was one of those things which really helped us in getting the overcoming the limitations of the development environment, because some of them were totally having less capacity as compared to production environments, I would say. So that was one of those things which really made the whole experience a lot good, because we wanted to make sure that the pipeline is seamless across all the three environments. And then we had to get some specific orchestration tools which were created out of that. And then we had to promote the code in those environments and put it on the target machines. So yeah, like this was something which was really helping us a lot.
Gotcha. How did you handle multiple clusters as far as configuration management, syncing state, and kind of ingress?
Coming to the ingress of the Kubernetes, I was actually using the ingress controller, which is basically nothing but the Nginx in that case. I was also responsible for working on some of the cluster level policies and resource utilization across the cluster level policies in this case, and trying to also handle some of the resource utilization and trying to make sure that we have the resource quota, and the quota is actually helping us to restrict the usage inside that on the specific environment on the runtime services. So definitely that is also one of the things which was helping us to do it on the third party.
Gotcha. Were y'all using any service mesh like Istio or Linkerd or?
Yes, we are using the Istio and also using the Hystrix. There's also one more called the Hystrix as the service discovery layer or the service mesh, which we're using for registering the services to the microservices environment, and then sending it to the main environment on the runtime services so that we don't have to manually register them. And apart from that, I was also responsible for some of the orchestrated environments and promotion of the code in this case. So getting those released and trying to handle those application metrics was very challenging in some of the environments. So yeah, it was one problem which we had and we resolved it there.
Gotcha. And with like Hystrix, for example, what was the problem y'all were trying to solve with Hystrix?
Hystrix was used as a service discovery layer where we were trying to make sure that that each of the service is registering to that Hystrix platform, and then from there, if any of the service wants to query any of the other platforms, then it can query it from the Hystrix layer and utilize it on top of that. So querying of other services and getting the runtime environments handled was one of the big challenges in our case. So we had to get this totally segregated and utilized on top of that. So yeah, it was something which I was doing from the run levels and trying to handle these Hystrix platform services and making sure that we are getting all the orchestrations handled in the proper way, and we don't have to hard code any of the service URL in any of the machines, so that we can just keep it there and forget about it, because it will be taken care of by the specific service level mesh in that case.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And what languages were most of y'all's services written in?
Services were written in the Java and the Spring Boot, and also we had some of the Node.js services which was there and utilized on top of that.
Cool. So as far as the clusters themselves, how did you handle kind of lifecycle management of the cluster itself? So updating, cluster configs and cluster manifests and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that's cluster configuration management was done by the Kubernetes command line interface, and we could actually handle that on the Kubernetes services at the deployment orchestration machines, so that we don't have to worry about the clusters which are handled from there. So we have to actually get these third-party integration environments which are going to be taken on the third-party target machines and get the approvals. So yes, all of these were totally released in this environment, and then we had to make sure that the clusters are totally taken on the runtime environments and orchestrated. So all of these are kind of taken on the run levels, and we have to define these from the hard-coded manifest files. So inside the manifest files, we can then get these services which can be integrated on that and then released as part of the life cycle of this machine. So yes, it has to be taken and released from that life cycle and designed as part of the application source code. So all of this has to be, kind of approved and then, promoted from one environment to the other. So that was one of the other things which really would have been easy for us to integrate with the Jenkins pipeline.
Gotcha. But I mean, were you all, as far as the configs like for the EKS clusters and Istio configs, and was that all versioned and checked in, or was that all manually applied? How did you actually build your infrastructure?
Basically, for the building of the infrastructure, we would actually do it by using the infrastructure as code tools, by using the CloudFormation as well as the Terraform templates. And inside that, also utilizing it for the third party and integration environment. So we were using also some of the Terraform for the state management in the S3 bucket, and using that. I actually just wanted to give you a heads up. I have another hard stop in like 4 minutes. I have another production call which I have to join. So just wanted to give you a heads up so that we don't cut in the middle. So
okay.
yeah.
So I mean, well, we can. Do you have any questions? I want to make sure I give you some time to ask any questions.
Yeah. So I want to know like what is the team size and the day-to-day activities. And from here, what is the next steps after this interview in the hiring process? Like when can I hear back from the team?
For sure. So the team size right now is just myself. This is a new team that we're building, and we're a startup, so we're very, very small and very lean. Developers, we have around 25 developers across all of our multiple development teams. And then we have another 10 to 15 engineers that handle our video distribution CDN, which is mostly bare metal and commodity cloud providers. So, and then as far as next steps go, write my feedback, and then I think our recruitment team will be in touch for after this based on kind of the feedback and what everybody is feeling.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think that's all the questions from my side. I'm good as of now.
Awesome. That sounds good. No, that sounds good. I appreciate your time. I want to be respectful. So if you need to jump to your meeting, that's totally fine. But
Okay.
yeah, this has been great. I really appreciate it.
Okay, all right, sounds good then. Yeah, have a nice day and nice speaking to you today.